So yesterday I talked about how the Epstein list was going to be dropped soon. I still don't think a lot of people fully understand what it is that is being dropped. So a court case from a child who was employed as a massage assistant at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Mar-a-Lago. She was 17 when she was picked up by Epstein. And she, allegedly, I have every reason to believe her, said a lot of bad stuff happened to her from that point forward. She had a lawsuit she filed back in 2015, and most of the names in her deposition were sealed because they weren't relevant to the specific case, in many cases, this will happen if like a big complicated case that impugns a lot of people, might implicate, like you wake up one day and you see you've been named in like a suit, generally speaking, if it's not relevant to the case, the court will keep it sealed if it's considered a big deal. So what's happening right now is a rolling unsealing of those deposition statements and the names involved in them from all the way back in 2015. This is not like the unveiling of a secret super list that Epstein had hidden in like a safe on, Little St. James. This is not like a... most of the names here are already known. In fact, that is the reason why the judge is allowing them to be revealed, because in many cases, the names of those involved are already known. There are still some redactions, but according to the judge and the other people involved in the redactions, the remaining redacted names are people who are either victims of Epstein, as in they don't want to release the names of a bunch of victims who were raped as children, which I understand, or people who are not in any way implicated whatsoever, like, the name of a person who she saw but has nothing to do with anything, stuff like that. So in the relevant public names are the ones that are getting unveiled, and not all of them have been. I think at this point only 40 or so names have been revealed out of a list of about 200. They're doing a rolling unveiling, a rolling declassification, a rolling unredaction of these names. So with that in mind, what have we learned? Not very much. Bill Clinton, mentioned heavily, obviously, huge friend of Epstein's, still denies any business. Donald Trump, named significantly, obviously, huge fan of Epstein, bragged about their shared interest in little girls. That's not a joke. There's a quote. Me, not named. Haters stay hating. They stay seething. They're coping. They're waiting. Is he going to be on the next set of unredacted names? Is he going to be later on the rolling list of unredacted names? No. In terms of like new names, new faces, to my mind, the interesting ones are Al Gore and Stephen Hawking. I know. Hold on. No. I know. Keep in mind, a lot of these people are only named, like literally named, it's not a, and this isn't the full list either. The documents include references to former presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, David Copperfield, Prince Andrew, no one's surprised here. He's been credibly accused of raping a minor and paid millions in settlement. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. A lot of people were thinking Netanyahu, and you were so close. It was another Israeli Prime Minister. Kevin Spacey, no surprises here, big friend of Tucker Carlson. Lawyer Alan Dershowitz, we're going to get to this guy. A big defender of Israel, by the way. Defending Israel, pedophilia, why repeat myself? The late New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, and former Vice President, Al Gore. He wishes he was president. I wish he was former president. God damn it. I cannot get over how he looks. Can you imagine? I know English royalty probably looked this way like 600 years ago too, but Jesus Christ. I mean, if nothing else, he is the most British man, right? Like nobody could look at him and sort of deny, no one would look at this and think like, oh, I don't know where his national allegiances are. And yeah, no, the real... The real surprise here was Stephen Hawking, yeah, which is incredibly funny. So we knew that Jeffrey Epstein had previously contacted Noam Chomsky. Jeffrey Epstein was a power broker, right? He didn't just hang out with like politicians or whatever. He fancied himself a kind of like cosmopolitan, like enjoyer of the arts, like big artists, big scientists, researchers, whatever. Now, Stephen Hawking's name came up in a weird way. Look, his name came up in a 2015 email where Epstein offered to pay people to disprove the allegation that Stephen Hawking was part of an underage orgy. That's right. The deposition doesn't actually name Stephen Hawking. It only names Epstein trying to disprove the allegation that he participated in an underage orgy. But it doesn't actually contain an allegation that he was part of an underage orgy. What does this mean? I have no idea. What this means almost certainly is that Stephen Hawking visited and met with Epstein. That's not surprising. Epstein met with a lot of artists and famous, important people. That's not surprising at all. What it could mean is that Stephen Hawking met with Epstein, and then people were like, "Whoa, bro, Epstein, you met with Epstein? Wow, you must have like some kids, right?" And Epstein was like, "No, he didn't. Look, I'll pay a person to disprove it." Or it could mean he kids and Epstein wanted to disprove it. I don't know. And we'll never know, probably. I mean, Stephen Hawking's dead. So how would Hawking even do that? That is an excellent question. Not to get lurid here. I'm sure there's plenty of ways one can be a pedophile while also being as disabled as Stephen Hawking was. But I have no idea. It's kind of wild though, right? The paper said he was into midgets doing math on chalkboards that were too high up. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter, but I haven't seen that repeated in any credible space. So I don't think that's actually true. I think that was literally just like a Twitter shitpost that went viral. I don't think that's true. That's one of those too good to be true kind of situations. You always got to be critical. You see that. Yeah, whatever the case may be, I don't think the information we have at the moment is enough to credibly like smear Stephen Hawking's reputation from beyond the grave, because it's so weird and out there. Like the only information, the only way in which his name came up was somebody offering to pay to prove he didn't do Felix shit. I have no idea. It's the fact that Epstein was the one who sent the email. Really, that's damning, but it's the wildest one so far. Oh, to be sure. Can you just imagine Epstein sitting down to talk to Hawking, and it's basically like the scene from Napoleon Dynamite where Uncle Rico's asking about time travel? Well, my impression of Epstein is that he fancies himself a lot like, I don't know, the aristocrats of the old, feudal system, where, he's a big fancy man in a big fancy castle with a lot of big fancy secrets, and he has great balls where people from all over the world come over, and he it sort of like elevates his reputation by being associated with all these people. Like he's doing like old money aristocracy shit, essentially. And old money aristocracy does involve a lot of pedophilia. That's a classic long running, so not surprising there that would be a part of it. But yeah, you also have like famous poets or scientists or whatever else. Michael Jackson was also named. Yeah, it's not surprising to me that he would do stuff like this. Epstein hung around the science community. It's well known. He funded elements of the scientific community. He gave money to J.F. Gariepi. Didn't he have a chemistry or a biochemistry degree? A lot of his money's floating around. He's a billionaire, I mean, when you're a billionaire, your money gets around. Though in J.F. Gariepi's case, there was another probably more pointed, Venn diagram overlap between him and Epstein. There's Gariepi again. Ich love you, idiot. I can barely legal 18-year-old women across the coast. I love to make retarded babies. J.F. Gariepi is a wacky guy. Killed his wife, allegedly. I'm not British. I don't have to say allegedly. Allegedly. Sure seems like it. He's not putting much effort into proving he didn't, I guess. I debated him once. Yeah, that's true. Oh, child trafficking is just for income. My real passion is quantum physics. I unironically think he probably said that at some point to somebody. Whatever. So the main guy that I want to talk about here. So a lot of this stuff isn't surprising. Like I said, the names that come up in the deposition, these are not names that have been like impugned in kids, right? Now, somebody who has been impugned in kids. Alan Dershowitz, wacky guy. And by wacky, I mean morally contemptible in the highest, to the greatest possible extent. Harvard law alumni, obviously, of course, or at least he taught there. Was he a student there, or did he teach there? He taught there? Oh, okay. Here, hold on. We can just 1 second. We can get this guy's storied history up. Okay, wiki. Okay, here we go. Storied history. You guys ready for it? Alan Dershowitz. We're going somewhere with this, okay? There we go. Let's see. Celebrity clients like Mike Tyson, Patty Hearst, Leona Helmsley, Julian Assange, and Jim Becker. Served as the appellate advisor on the murder trial of O.J. Simpson, part of the legal dream team, a member of Harvey Weinstein's defense team in 2018, and of Donald Trump in his first impeachment trial in 2020. Also a member of Jeffrey Epstein's defense team, and helped to negotiate a 2006 non-prosecution agreement on Epstein's behalf. That's right. This guy, not even like modern Epstein defender. This guy helped him get off when it was known he was trafficking children back in 2006. Court documents unsealed in January 2024 allege Dershowitz had sex with a minor trafficked by Epstein on numerous occasions and was present alone at Epstein's home in the presence of young girls, according to sworn testimony. So this is like the big name in the current round of unsealed indictment. This motherfucker, he's not just named in the deposition, he is directly accused extensively and credibly. And I believe every word of it. 100% this guy kids. Absolutely. Author of, let me see, Reasonable Doubts, The Criminal Justice System in the O.J. Simpson's Case, The Case for Israel, The Case Against Impeaching Trump, and Guilt by Association, The Challenge of Proving Innocence in the Age of #MeToo. So this guy is pro-Trump, pro-Israel, pro-pedophilia. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. That is unironically where this guy is at. That's this guy. That is this guy's, that's where he's at. In his house and plans. I hope he did, and they are all revealed because they will prove I am not among them. I hereby waive any right to privacy in Epstein videos, because he'd been named in Epstein's black book. And then in response, the classic drill tweet, "Hello, Alan, this is your lawyer speaking. I'm advising you to please keep posting this shit." And now he has been credibly implicated in unrolling, decensoring of the 2015 court case. Did you see this real video? Oh, I saw this real video. Yeah, we all should have known. This is him. This is him having a spoonful of women over the age of 18. Is this real? Yes, that's real. Biologically, that's how he responds to the taste of women over 18. It's an edit, right? I don't know. You'll just have to figure it out for yourself. All right. Okay, so this guy, he wrote an article in the 1990s about getting rid of the age of consent. Really? Ah, man, him and Foucault, two intellectuals. Dershowitz responds after 1997, statutory rape is an outdated concept, op-ed resurfaces. Ah, yes. The classic 1997 op-ed, statutory rape is an outdated concept. Context? Wrote the following in the op-ed, which Dershowitz made a case for lowering the age of consent to 15. A classic move, Many such cases. He said, prostitutes know what they're doing. They should be prosecuted. What? In a 1985 article in the Gainesville Sun, Dershowitz proposed that a John who occasionally seeks to taste the forbidden fruit of sex for hire should not be arrested. The nonprofit executive recalled him discussing the idea in class. He said, prostitutes know what they're doing. They should be prosecuted. Wait. He argued, men who seek to taste the forbidden fruit of prostitution should not be arrested. The prostitutes, however, should be. But you shouldn't ruin the John's life over that. I guess that's how you thread the needle on, like, child prostitutes on Little St. James, but also being anti-sex work. This guy really does have, like, every most odious position, He defended this article a couple years ago. Yeah, he's been consistent on this, at least. Is this Peronism? It probably is, yeah. I'd have to check my sources. careful, this guy's extremely litigious. I am literally reading an article with his quotes in it. I mean, he can litigate that as much as he wants. If I had raised my hand to challenge that, I would have been singling myself out as, God forbid, a feminist. Okay, so this guy is an incredible piece at every level, okay? So, after everything, after all the shit he's done and said, you know, first of all, he was still hired by Donald Trump's defense team, so that's number one. For two, so what did he do in response to his name coming up and these credible accusations against him? Well, let's take a look, huh? Was it this video? Was it this video? It was this video. Alan Dershowitz has been going on a media tour. He has been following Drill's advice. As your lawyer, Alan, I am advising you to keep posting this shit, and he has.
How much are we to believe is guilt by association versus judging people by the company?
Now, to be clear, this is ahead of the document's release. This is before he was named. So this is before the credible accusations of him. But we'll get to what he said afterwards, too. Don't worry.
Versus judging people by the company they kept, and that being
great
someone
guy
after the late 2000s who had pleaded guilty.
He looks like the Chud Jack. He literally looks like elderly Chud Jack. What the phrenological pedophilic? Literally, this guy's pedophilia was written into his DNA, his bone structure. Scientists in the future will unearth this guy's skeleton, probably underneath like miles of piss-caked, soil, and be like, "Oh, this guy was a pedophile." You know, you can tell from the skeleton. Remarkable, remarkable.
To child prostitution.
Well, you can judge them for having shown bad judgment, but you can't conclude that any accusations against them are true.
Alan Dershowitz is anti-concluder.
The reason I wanted everything put out, and I don't think the judge put everything out. I think she was selective in what she...
Love how this guy's being presented, by the way. Civil liberties lawyer, no. Law professor, yes, I suppose. Former clerk for judge, blah, blah. 7 times best-selling author and has published 40 works of fiction and nonfiction. Or really painting a rosy picture of this guy's storied life and career, I feel.
Put out, and that's unfair. I want everything out, every document, every piece of paper, half-truths or lies. And I wanted them out for personal reasons because I know that they would prove what I've said from day one, that I did nothing wrong. The woman who accused me later admitted that she may have misidentified me, confused me with someone else. So I wanted everything out right from the beginning because I have nothing to hide. There are some people who may be ashamed of the fact that they hung out with Epstein. But remember, a lot of people hung out with Epstein before he was convicted. Presidents of Harvard.
This guy was on the defense team that got him his settlement, or that kept him out of jail. He's literally like, well, the people knew. He defended him.
Deans, Nobel quality scientists. He was very
if you're anti-concluder, then you're pro Alan Dershowitz.
About his private life that he kept so secret. There's a difference between what happened after he was convicted and the nature of the relationship after he was convicted, and everybody should judge for themselves. But I think
I haven't seen this photo of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell together, you know? This is a new one to me. It's very odd considering their wealth and power and how evil they are, that this, like the log cabin thing, you know? Why are we... This is like that tweet. This is the tweet, like, this be the photos they put up after a white man kills his whole family, and it's like them all jet skiing or something, you know? Yeah, the classic Zach Fox tweet, like, you know, the pictures they put up after a white man manages a socialite billionaire child empire, you know.
The public has the right to hear and see everything, not selectively picked by a judge or anyone else.
Yeah, I know that guy. All right, it's time. That was before the unveiling. Now it's time for after the unveiling. In following his lawyer Drill's advice, Alan Dershowitz takes to Fox News right after the unveiling of his name, not once, not twice, but multiple times in the context of him being directly accused of minors.
Now, the one point I do want to make is...
Wow, that's some nice audio. That's fantastic. How do I boost that? Hold on. We can't We can't do the quiet audio this time, folks. Boosting the gain. Boosting it way up.
That I understand all the feminist groups and the radicals who think this is the worst thing in the world, that anybody ever had any contact with Jeffrey Epstein.
That's right. After the unsealed documents accuse him credibly multiple times of raping children, this is the approach he's taken. These crazy woke feminists. Listen, thanks to wokeness, you can't even rape children on Little St. James anymore, you know? Thanks to these Me Too feminists, keep in mind he wrote a book against Me Too. Thanks to these Me Too feminists, you know, it's ridiculous, you know? We can't do anything anymore.
Where are all those radical feminists when it comes to the Hamas?
Incredible. Perfect. Literally, actually perfect. Unbelievable. Where were those feminists on October 7th? You condemn me multiple children, but do you condemn Hamas? This is Israel's strongest defender. This man turns his Epstein accusations into a defense of Israel. That is how committed this guy is to defending Israel, okay? This is actually the most ethical Zionist, you know? This is stupider than fiction. It is. I genuinely want you to think for a second. What's the funniest thing that a Zionist could do after being credibly accused of raping kids on Little St. James? But what about Hamas? Literally. And you would think in saying that, oh, that's a bit much. Like, yeah, Zionists say some stupid stuff, but that is a little bit much. Nope. Without prompting, on his own, that is what happened. That is what happened. This guy taught at Harvard Law for like 40 years, by the way, if you ever want like a good reason to discredit. Listen, as a general rule, never trust anyone from Harvard Law. Ever, okay? There are so many Nepo babies, so many creepo, power-adjacent pedophiles and lunatics who work in that institution, okay? I would not for a moment, okay? You're better off trusting someone from some middling law school because it's less likely they had to shake hands with 16 pedophiles to get their degree.
Of young Jewish girls, sexual abuse, beheadings, they are quiet. They are silent. The incredible hypocrisy of the Me Too movement. Me Too, except if you're a Jew.
The Me Too movement! Nobody even brought up Me Too, but he's written a book against it, so now he's like, ah, yes, the Me Too movement. The funny thing is, the unsealed court documents that implicate him here are from before the Me Too movement. So right now, we're post-Me Too movement. Nobody says Me Too anymore. The court case is from before Me Too. Nobody brought up Me Too. You know... Yeah, Me Too, except if you're a Jew.
The Me Too movement. Me Too, except if you're a Jew.
Very well practiced. He was like pacing in his cell before this, thinking, you know, how am I gonna sell this? You know, how am I gonna... What's the strategy to get me out of this kerfuffle? I've said it before and I'll say it again, man. If you're the best thing you can do is pivot to the right. Like, literally, that is the best thing that you can do. The right loves... But this guy, I don't know, man. This guy might be a little bit too odious for, like, anyone to defend at this point. The only people who would defend somebody this openly depraved at this point, I feel, would be the alt-right, and he's way too pro-Zionist to lean in with that. I don't know. This was Trump's lawyer? Yep.
And I want to have a list of all the radical feminists who are pushing hard, and I understand that, to get all these names revealed, and I want to know how many of them have ever actually condemned Hamas for the risks that we now know of.
This is actually his strategy. This was actually what he was going for. Zionists, I am unironically going to do this. I'm going to do my own, but what about, okay? I want every Zionist, every liberal who defends Israel in the way that a Zionist does, to answer for this, okay? Because I'm putting this on every one of you, okay? This is who you're aligned with. What does it say about Zionism as a political movement that this guy is not only attempting this strategy, but is also considered one of the, like, mainline American Israel defenders? This isn't just some random lunatic on the street, you know? This guy has been considered a respectable, you know, conservative-aligned celebrity-defending lawyer for decades. I mean, this guy isn't, you know, this guy isn't nobody. This guy is well known. What does it say about Zionism you know, that this is like a representative of that ideology. Oh, listen, all I'm saying is, if there was some prominent American who claimed to be like an anarchist or a communist or something, somebody on the level of Alan Dershowitz, of which there are none. There are no people on the level of Alan Dershowitz who claim to be an anarchist or a communist with that level of institutional power, and were actively advocating for this, that, the other, you know, I would, and they were doing this in response to the Epstein shit. You know, they were saying like, I want to get a list of every radical feminist who's calling for the unveiling of these documents, and I want to find out how many of them, you know, are anti-union or some shit like that. I would condemn it. It's insane. It's genuinely insane, and I do think it's a moral indictment on Zionism. You know, that somebody like this could be considered like a, you know, a reasonable sort of ally or component of that ideology, and resort to this, and people are going to defend him doing this too. It's ridiculous, you know.
Occurred and the murders that occurred, how many have been silent, and how many, like the National Lawyers Guild, have actually approved of what Hamas did? So let's put this in context. I'm thrilled that all these papers have come out. I urged them. I went to court. I asked for everything to come out because I knew that I had done nothing wrong and the papers would exculpate me. What I only worry about is that maybe the judges withheld certain documents. I want to make sure every single document comes out, including the documents that cast doubt on the credibility of some of the accusers and some of the accused. The public has the right to see everything and make their own judgment. We do not.
So Alan Dershowitz has correctly guessed here that the vast majority of people on Fox News are not actually going to read any of the unsealed documents. So he's just going to posture as like a strong conservative pro-Israel, you know, like free speech lover, which is why he's saying the release of these documents exonerates me. No, it doesn't. It does the opposite of that. But he knows the majority of people who are watching aren't actually going to see, so it doesn't matter. You know, publicly lying does not generally do conservatives any actual harm when it comes to their, you know, their popularity and prevalence. Isn't Dershowitz supposed to defend Israel against the South Africa genocide case? Isn't that one of the people they considered? Is Alan Dershowitz going to represent Israel at the International Court of Justice? Israeli officials are reportedly considering enlisting Alan Dershowitz to represent Israel at the International. That's great. Hey, Zionists, quick question. Real quick question. What does it say about the state of Israel? Like, holy shit, dude. Please. Oh my God. How fucking odious do your champions have to be? 85 years old. This motherfucker is going to live to like Kissinger levels. Maybe they'll drop him and stop doing a genocide. Well, I don't think they're going to take Alan Dershowitz literally like the day after he got implicated in the child rape scandal. Oh, here's Haaretz. Does it have to be Dershowitz defending Israel against charges of genocide? Why must Israel resort to Dershowitz, who has demonstrably proved over the years to be in the Dershowitz business, rather than someone who carries genuine international law bona fide? Ah, yes. Why Dershowitz? You know, why not somebody less selfish? No other issues with this? Can they find non? Well, Israel is a fascist state, and fascists are all ontologically Felix, so it's not at all surprising to me they would run in that direction. It's just, look, Alan Dershowitz is an evil man who has made a career defending evil people. It's that simple, you know? You can two ways about it all you want, but that's what his job is. Israel is evil, so they look to him. Much in the same way that Donald Trump turned to him. Donald Trump knew that he was wrong, that he was lying in his current and previous court cases. So in order for him to defend himself, he needs lawyers who are also okay with being evil and lying. Most lawyers aren't. For most lawyers, it would actually be an incredible impugnment of their legal career to be associated with the disastrous efforts of the Trump campaign team to defend themselves against everything that's happened as a product of the insurrection attempt, you know? For most lawyers, that would be incredibly damning. It would be a stain on their career forever. But for a very small group of usually very expensive, very dishonest conservative grifters, they're willing to make a very large amount of money saying or doing whatever you want. Alan Dershowitz is one of those people. He's always been one of those people. That's why he's always presented himself as an anti-woke, you know, reactionary. Like, he has a very strong political bias. You know, for a lawyer, I mean, this guy's a lawyer. Isn't it a little bit weird for lawyers to write books on Me Too or O.J. Simpson? Like, isn't it a little bit odd that this guy's written 40 books of fiction and nonfiction, a lot of which are like partisan impugnments of specific ideologies. That's odd for a lawyer to do. Lawyers are supposed to be like, practitioners of law first and foremost, not political bias. But Alan Dershowitz has never pretended this, and for that reason, he's always been held in high regard by conservatives and by conservative institutions like the State of Israel, because he lies and he's a piece of shit, and they lie and they're a piece of shit. So there you go. His main concern is and always has been two things: making money and children. He had his fun raping children. Epstein's dead now. Maybe he has to get his fix elsewhere. He's still making a lot of money. And if Israel gets their way, he's going to make a lot more defending them from accusations of genocide in the International Court of Justice, as fielded by South Africa. But really, though, I really, really, really do want Zionists to mentally reconcile with the idea that the beloved state they want to defend the existence of in its current form, or some Zionists, liberal Zionists, they do this wiffle waffle bullshit where it's like, oh well, I don't like Netanyahu or what Israel's currently doing, but I do think they have a right to defend themselves and exist, right? Because you're cowards, because you refuse to. Yeah, I skipped there between Zionists and Zientists. Cowards, morally unwilling to take a stand on anything, completely spineless. But yeah, going to Alan Dershowitz, that's quite an indictment of Israel's moral character, I feel. I don't know. So yeah, anyway, this man, I guess, sort of defies reason. He's incredible. He's a miracle in his own way. The world is a worse place for his existence, and he's 85 years old, so one day it will be improved through his passing. One day soon, hopefully. Look at him. Jesus Christ, he's hanging on. But with the amount of adrenochrome that he harvested from those poor kids, he might be here for a while longer. It makes sense because after a certain amount, you're not buying a lawyer's skill, you're buying his connections, and Dershowitz did a lot of networking at the child orgies. That is unironically true. That sounds like a snide, like a little snippy comment, but that is actually completely true. The whole point of meeting up with Epstein, in addition, of course, to the child for Dershowitz, I assume, because there are plenty of people who met with Epstein who didn't children, was just the connections. That's the whole point of being a power broker, and in his case, I'm sure he has quite a few. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. Israel ended up going with this dude, not Dershowitz. Oh, they have made a choice. They made a choice. Was this from earlier today? Justice Ministry enlists the services of Shah, a Jewish Zionist renowned for his expertise in international law. Okay, so they're not going with Dershowitz. That makes sense. Going with Dershowitz, immediately following Malcolm Shah, the Epstein stuff, it would be pretty insane. Even for Israel. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm surprised Weinstein wasn't named. Well, again, rolling unveils. So we'll see if anything else comes up. Imagine being a wife to one of these creeps, learning the truth. I'd shower for weeks. Munster Kate, I've got some good news for you. The wives of people like this know what their husbands are like. In a lot of cases, they're marriages of convenience, or they're just as evil. You've got like a Ghislaine Maxwell situation where they're just as involved. It would be too much of a liability to keep that. I think that there's a narrative of evil men keeping secrets from their wives that we perpetuate in media because it's a way of heightening drama. But I think in a lot of cases, usually they're both completely aware. I mean, it's pretty hard to keep stuff from your married partner, and you can just find a woman who's that evil. You can just find an evil woman. They exist.